Welcome, my name is Halcyon. This is Hug Nation. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome! Today the topic is the grass is greener. Sometimes you have to visit paradise to learn that it's not all that great. Sometimes you have to earn all the money to learn that that's not going to make you happy. Sometimes you have to visit the wizard to learn that the wisdom's been inside you the whole time. I just returned from a 3-week trip to Bali, and it was a fantastic trip. It was an adventure. It was a journey. I think in my mind, I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a vacation, and it was still quite a bit of a travel adventure. I think when I was younger and more spry and a little more hungry and less fragile, the idea of travel adventures and backpacking and was much more exciting and enjoyable. And I did spend quite a bit of time during my college years doing traveling like that, budget traveling, and I loved the adventure of it. But as a little bit older and I've had years of having real jobs, and I was kind of looking forward to having my first real vacation, I think in over 10 years, maybe longer than that, where when I say real vacation, I mean a vacation where I didn't go to a festival, Burning Man or Lucidity or Leyenda or something like that. I have had trips where I've gone places, but except for family vacations or festivals or work things, I haven't just gone on vacation. And so this was a big deal for me psychologically, because all of those other things, family, festival, work, all of those have a justification. It's not purely a gift to myself. It's not purely a gift to me and my partner. It's not purely an opportunity to receive. So this was a big deal. And I had a lot of anxiety leading up to it. And part of that is because of memories of traveling and, carrying bags here and there and dealing with just memories of being sweaty and carrying things from here to there and trying to find a place to stay and my brother actually mentioned something to me. He said, look, you're a little older now. There's very few things that can't be solved with money. I was like, okay, that's true. That does relax some of my anxiety. Like some of the things that would have been insurmountable challenges when I was young and broke are now things that I could fix with a little bit of cash. And luckily, in Indonesia, money goes far. The US dollar goes very far. So I was able to live quite opulently at times when available. I mean, sometimes you go to a certain tiny island and you're like, let's stay at the nicest places here. Well, the nicest place here is a bungalow that's $50 a night, and there's geckos running all over inside, and the AC barely keeps the room to a place that's cold enough to sleep in. So that whole perspective that I just stated there is kind of the old grumpy jaded guy perspective. When I was young, I think I would have had a much easier time just falling into the adventure of that, but I did have some struggles. And actually that was I'll be honest, that halfway through this trip, we considered coming home early. We were like, this is just not the trip we hoped for. This is not as relaxing. It's not as fun. It's not as comfortable. It was very humid. Now, you're probably thinking, yeah, you went to the tropics. And that's one of those crazy things where you look at a picture of the tropics, you look at a gorgeous, you look at a waterfall and beautiful green lush, you're like, oh my gosh, it's gorgeous, it's paradise. But when you're there, if you're not used to humidity, you're like, oh my God, oh my God. You're just constantly dripping with sweat. And, I learned how fragile and soft I am. And living in San Diego, this incredibly temperate place where it never gets too hot and too cold. There's not much humidity. There's no bugs. It's just like this. No wonder people pay so much for real estate and for rent. Like, I get it now. We pay for this kind of idyllic weather. And so being thrown or seeking out and going to paradise, this beautiful place, and then being so uncomfortable that I had trouble enjoying it, was a real like eye-opener. Like, And then once we had the conversation about coming home early, then I got really frustrated with myself and just, there was a lot of reasons. One, for our challenges in enjoying it. The temperature was a big one. The humidity was a big one. Part of it was rainy season, or we were just in the beginning of rainy season, and yet it had not rained yet. So the humidity was just thick. And there was that. We had trouble finding comfortable beds. We had trouble sleeping. We had, some body challenges that were making it even harder to sleep. And so with no sleep and temperature, and I get cranky. I admit it. I was cranky, and the other thing that made it tough, just psychologically, is of the expectations that I had set on this trip. I had visions of writing every day. I had visions of leaving all of my bad habits and patterns behind, and eating better, and having, maybe having a juice cleanse, and staying off the internet. And didn't even bring a computer, and I didn't do any of those things. I barely wrote. I ate a lot and didn't exercise much because I was so hot, and the food was so great and so plentiful and cheap. So I just ate a bunch and did as little physical activity as possible, and read a bunch of kind of trashy but fun books, and kind of was having a vacation, except one where I was not comfortable. And so I'm halfway through this trip, and it's like, gosh, none of the things that I wanted to have happen are happening. Why won't the world do what I want it to do? And then, so once we decided we were going to leave or cut the trip short, then I was like, now I'm depressed. Like, this is, like, I'm in paradise, and I want to go home. And I was hit by one of the many epiphanies of this trip, which is that the grass is not greener. Here I had this vision, and in some ways I actually had this kind of vague background plan for years that, if I ever finally just like can't take it anymore, I can always take my savings, go off to a tropical land where my money will go far, and just write and enjoy life simply. And then I'm in that fantasy, and I don't like it. And here, my escape plan, my fantasy paradise, they just didn't live up to my expectations. And there's something really frustrating when you're kind of this. You no longer, my safety net evaporated. This invisible fantasy idea of what I could do someday. It's like, no, that's not a real option. Which made me realize, oh, right, like I know. It's never about the exterior. I can't move away from my problems. I can't move away from my bad habits. I can't paint the walls a different color and expect me to be different. I need to find my joy inside. I need to change my habits. I need to craft my mindset. I need to practice daily in a way that makes me happy. And going to a place that looks beautiful isn't going to do that for me. You'd think that would be kind of life 101. I can't just go to the wizard and ask him to give me a brain. But sometimes you gotta go to paradise, go down that brick road, and realize, right, I knew this all along. Of course, you still gotta do the work. You still gotta get through the poppy fields and deal with the flying monkeys. Speaking of flying monkeys, I had a number of monkey experiences on this trip. In Ubud, there is a place called the Monkey Temple, where there are a bajillion monkeys, and you go in, and you're in this. It's like right next door to restaurants and stuff, but you go through a fence, and then there's just monkeys everywhere, and they're crawling all over. And if you can buy bananas from people, and at your own risk, though, because they say, look, once you get the bananas, you put them in your bag, because if you hold them out, they will attack you for the bananas. And there's people that work there with sticks that will, knock down the monkeys if they get too aggressive. But for most part, the monkeys know the routine, and they also know how they can take advantage of you. So at first, I was like, this is so awesome. Take a banana out of the bag, hold it up, and they would run up my body, crawl up my body, grab the banana, and I was like, "That's so cool." And we're feeding, you try to feed the little cute ones, but the big ones tend to. You learn the law of the jungle very quickly. That I know the big guy basically bullies his way to get the bananas, and so we did that for a little bit, and it was pretty fun. And so we went and bought some more bananas, but after 8 minutes or so, I was starting to go, okay, this is losing its fun, because the monkeys start to realize that you have bananas, and they start to kind of stalk you, and then you have these gang of little primates that's not all of them are little, though. They're and you see them baring their teeth at each other, and you're like, okay, these are not stuffed animal monkeys. They're fanged little rat creatures, and with long arms. They're like the flying monkeys without wings, but they jump and they. Okay, apparently it was damaging and scarring for me. So, Belicious was enjoying it to no end, and she was, I guess, a little less clear on how much struggle I was having keeping the monkeys out of our bag. I would, if I unzipped the bag and left it unzipped, they would go in and so there was a few moments when I was really I didn't know what to do. I couldn't get them off me, and you don't want to punch a monkey, because one, it's specifically against the rules, and two, I don't know, I think that's against the Love Ambassador code. You can spank the monkey metaphorically, but you cannot punch a monkey physically. That's I think that's just a traveler's known. So there were some moments when I was I was having a hard time, and Belicious was not quite understanding how hard it was for me to get her a banana and zip close the thing and take a video of her, and so I was getting really frustrated, and she was just laughing hysterically, and of course it's kind of when you fall down and someone laughs at you, it makes it harder. And so there's some videos that I forced her to delete, because it was, and now I'm kind of wishing I had him just to look at it as a way to kind of face my darkness, because it was like, hey, this is me past my limit. This is me losing my shit. Oh. And meanwhile, Belicious thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. Yay. This was before we had reached our limit, by the way, and before we decided we were gonna turn around and go home. So anyway, we finally we flee the monkey forest. I think, I don't even know, we gave away all the bananas. I was booking out of there. I had one on my head for a block, and we get back to our cab, and there's a monkey that had jumped the fence, because I don't know, it'd be interesting to talk to people who run that thing and go, what are the mechanics that keep the monkeys there? I think it's just they bring them a bunch of food so the monkeys stay, and if the monkeys run too far out, they had them with sticks. But there was a monkey on the top of our cab just going baring its teeth, and like the cabbie didn't know what to do, and finally we had to get some help to get the monkey to get back in the cage. And then you're feeling like, oh man, am I like a lion tamer kind of guy? Am I exploiting these? Am I like Siegfried and Roy all on these monkeys? Like, do I deserve to get my ass spanked by a monkey? So, meanwhile, after that experience, we went to another area, Padang Bay, and a place called Blue Lagoon, and a friend had said, "Hey, some of the other places you're going to go, you're going to see wild monkeys, and just so you know, those are the same. They look like the monkeys you see in the monkey forest, but they're not domesticated. They're not, trained. So don't try to feed them. Be careful." And so we go to this place, and they say, you might see monkeys coming up out of the forest because it's been really dry. And the place that we're staying in, it's like a 2-bedroom villa. It's gorgeous, overlooks the ocean, just incredibly gorgeous. One of the bedrooms had doors and was sealed. The other one was entirely open, and the living room and the kitchen was all like one wall was missing that faced the ocean, like I guess to get breeze and to invite in mosquitoes and wild animals and whatever. I mean, we never got to the point where we could stay away from AC too long. But anyway, so we spent a lot of time in that place, in the one room that could get closed, within our mosquito netting, on the bed with the AC like blowing right on us. But then we hear rustling from the other room, and at one point look and say, oh my gosh, there's monkeys that have come out. Oh my gosh, they're like up on the. Oh my gosh, they're like in the living room. They're knocking down the vase. They're like doing whatever, and we were told they're afraid of people. So I kind of go, hey, I'm trying to make my most, threatening human sounds, and not trying to be threatening, just trying to be loud. Like I didn't want to challenge them, because very quickly I go, oh, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like I think I could take one monkey. I'm pretty confident I could take one monkey, but 6 monkeys, I think they could eat my face. I have very little experience fighting monkeys, I'll be honest. So it gets a little scary. They don't leave. And in fact, at one point they're like trying to establish like, hey, no, dude, we live here. And then we're like, okay, well, we kind of left our stuff in this other bedroom. Are they going to steal our stuff? How clever are these monkeys? Because at the other location in the forest, the domesticated ones, they will intentionally steal your phone, your water bottles, anything. They'll steal it. These monkeys were more concerned. They wanted food and water. So as long as we locked up our locked up our food, I think we were fine. But again, I don't have a lot of experience with monkeys, and it's kind of like birds. A single bird, pretty. 4 birds, pretty. 1,000 birds, freaky. Hitchcock knew this. The same is true with monkeys. You get to a certain level of numbers of monkeys, and it's no longer cute and adorable. It's like a locust thing of monkeys, and they're... Okay, sorry. The point is, it did affect our ability to enjoy ourselves. In fact, we're thinking, what if we were staying with, we had kids with us, and we're saying, you guys get that other bedroom, and then at night, monkeys are like, ah! We're like, how was the trip? We lost 2 of the kids, monkey attack, what you gonna do? It's like, who can expect 4 walls on a hotel and a roof? That's just way too much. 3 walls. Maybe we should have splurged for the deluxe villa with all the walls from the ceiling. Maybe we would saved ourselves from getting our faces eaten by monkeys. Hindsight is 2020. Okay, well, so that was about at the time when we were like, what are we doing? This adventure is stressful. We also, there's this adorable thing where geckos, crawl all over the inside of dwellings, and it's unbelievable the sound that a tiny gecko can make. It's like a car alarm. And if you are a light sleeper, it will wake you up. And so it's just like to accept that part of living in this environment is the inability to sleep. And do I sound whiny? I feel whiny. And that's part of like this the self-destructive spiral that I was going down of like, this, not only am I not enjoying myself, I'm upset at myself for not enjoying myself. And so maybe the lesson, and that's when I had the epiphany of like, okay, this is not the answer. This is not the kind of paradise that you thought was out there. So go home and start trying to make your real home into the paradise that you know it can be. But we said, you know what? Forget it. No, this we can't do that. We can't just, let's just. And actually, I got a comment from someone that said, just go to Gili Islands, go to Gili Air. Trust me, just go, just go. And read it at the right time, and I was like, let's just go. We go to Gili Air. Gili Air is literally what a cartoon would show for a paradise deserted island. Like when you see people drinking Mai Tais on the beach, it's like that. This island has no cars, no motorbikes, no scooters. It has bicycles and horse-drawn carriages. When you get off the boat, we had if you want someone to take you to your hotel, which are bungalows on the beach, there's guys in these teeny tiny horses and these little, wooden like carts behind them, not carriages, carts, and they will take you clunk, 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 clunk to your hotel. So beautiful. We had snorkeling right outside our hotel of just incredible, gorgeous tropical fish, like ice blue water. We rented bicycles and rode around the entire island in about an hour and a half. We went on a snorkeling trip and swam with turtles, and we got stranded on another island during this monsoon rainstorm for a couple hours. It was like, I'm so glad we didn't go home. And we kind of, I think let go of a lot of expectations and just let ourselves eat and order room service. And the cool thing is, it's the dollar went so far that we could, live in a way that I would consider to be quite decadent in terms of just like, yeah, we'll have both the entrees, send that to our room, do that, yeah, that. I mean, we did it in a nice way and said thank you. But the cost was so, like, after we spent, 5 days, and with lodging and all the food, it would have cost for a night in a nice hotel, in San Diego, maybe with dinner without drinks. So we did that, and then we went back after we stayed in Gili Air for I think 5 days. Then we went to back to Ubud and stayed in a really nice hotel by Balinese standards, very kind of higher end construction, and no geckos in our room for the first time in the 3 weeks we were there. So we slept great and had a great mattress and super decadent everything at that hotel, and ended the trip with Belicious getting us this super romantic dinner, like something you see out of a movie. It's called the 1,000 Candles, dinner special, where Belicious blindfolded me and then walked me to this like plaza that they had, which was all emptied out, nothing else there except for all these candles and flower petals all over the ground in shapes and designs, and then 2 chairs and a table in the middle of this plaza, and a waiter and a chef just for us. And they made us this 5-course vegetarian meal and champagne with just the 2 of us. It was with all these candles and the jungle sounds, and it was like really epic and gorgeous. And then we went back to our hotel room, and at first I was like, someone's been in our room, because we had a do not disturb sign on, and I'm like, someone brought in tea here. Someone did something, and Felix just is trying to cue me in, and like, oh yeah, and it smells like lemongrass. What is that? It smells like. I'm like, yeah. What? And I'm getting all worked up, and she's trying to like get my attention to look over to the tub. This place had this massive like half of a sphere tub, and finally I notice it, and it's filled up. It looks like a huge margarita glass. It's like filled with sliced citrus, and that was another spa service they offered, that they would come to your room and give you a scented flower herbal cool stuff bath. And so they did that in our room while we were at the dinner. So we had this incredible dinner, then came back to this super plush, amazing. I've never had something like that. It was like being in a citrus soup. It smelled nice and very romantic, and it was a incredible way to end our trip. And I'm really glad it was the way we ended it, because it was by far the nicest accommodations that we had. So since we struggled with accommodations through some of the other places, it would have been tough to reduce our luxury. It was nice to kind of increase our luxury as we went. But the big takeaway for me was that awareness that you cannot go to paradise. You have to create paradise. You have to craft your thoughts in a way so that you recalibrate to appreciate the miracles and the magic wherever you are. And the truth is that takes a practice, and that takes discipline. And I think the massive gift of this experience was getting a kick in awareness that I need to really create paradise. I say this now, as I'm recording this, I can look out and I can see the Pacific Ocean behind this camera. I can say this knowing that this morning I had breakfast with my parents. I can say this knowing that I am going to see my nephews soon. I can say this knowing that I am, for the most part, feeling healthy, and most of the things on my body work. And I can say this knowing all these things, and also knowing that with all the blessings that I have, it is all too easy for me to slip into darkness, to slip into a lack of enthusiasm, a lack of appreciation, a lack of zest. And so that is the gift of the jungle sweat, the gift of the mosquito bites, the gift of the travel challenges, is this reawakening to my responsibility to create paradise. I am so grateful that you are a part and a piece of this paradise tapestry that makes up my life. I hope that your life, or you can see your life as that same paradise. You can find a way to lift up the beautiful things and kind of diminish the challenging things, see beyond the mosquito bites, and notice the sunset even while you're sweating. And hopefully your paradise is something that you can craft and light up. Thank you, and I love you.